Why is Bitcoin, why does it keep marching higher? And at any point in your time, have you ever said to yourself, BK, Bitcoin is overvalued right here?
So to answer the second question first, yes. But every time I've thought it's overvalued, it proves to be the wrong move because it keeps marching higher. So just to be clear, I don't think it's overvalued here. What I've consistently said since last spring, Bitcoin is on a trajectory to hit 65,000 by May. That's generally what it did in 2016 after the halving. We are right on track with that, and I think that's a pretty good estimate to say. Once we get to 60,000, we'll have to see. The way I'm looking at it now, you might get an overshoot. It might go higher than that. Maybe at that point you say it's overvalued. But back to the first question in terms of what's driving it here, it's definitely this corporate balance sheet as well as institutions. And they generally are stronger hands than what we had in 2017, which was really hot retail money that as soon as it started to drop, just really dumped out of it. That doesn't mean that institutions are immune from fear and greed, but they generally have a longer time frame. And so that's just a stronger backing to this rally.
What is the difference here, and how do you sort of process this?
Yeah, look, I think young people have a massive advantage over older generations or those who do this professionally. And it's because they understand not how to do financial engineering. They understand consumer trends, and they have a very deep conviction in where the world is going, right? They grew up with a cell phone in their hand. They're digitally native. And so if you go and you talk to young people under the age of 25, they'll tell you things like esports, psychedelics, collectibles, weed, electric vehicles, Bitcoin, etc. All that sounds absolutely insane and on the fringe to most people on Wall Street, I think. But what you find is that is actually the future. That is where value is going to get created. And so I think in kind of BK's version of the buy the shares, put them in the drawer, just if you have a long time horizon and you essentially use your stock portfolio as a savings account, take a portion of your income every single month and just put it into the stock market. You can either go into ETFs or you can go into some of these kind of more secular bets and then just let it play out over a 5 or 10-year horizon. I think that young people can really press that advantage they have of understanding where the world's going, and that'll end up being pretty good for their portfolio.
Bitcoin surges above 50,000 for the first time today as cryptocurrency continues to gain mainstream acceptance. Several stocks have been riding the Bitcoin bull, including Riot blockchain, closing up 21% today. Riot claims to be one of the largest Bitcoin miners in North America. The CEO, Jason Les, joins us now. Jason, great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me, Melissa. Appreciate the opportunity.
Talk to us about your company's, your stock's rise. We pulled some stats. In the past 6 months, Riot blockchain is up 1,500%, while Bitcoin is up 300%. Can you walk us through why Riot blockchain would have such leverage to the Bitcoin rise?
Yeah, so over the past 12 months, Riot has put a real focus into growing its hash rate. And to the viewers who don't know what that is the computational power that a miner has, and it is what they need to help get a portion of the fixed Bitcoin block reward. So while the Bitcoin market was not that strong for all of 2020, we really put our head down and put a real effort into securing miner purchase orders that were during 2020 that would not be delivered until 2021. So we invested that capital because we perceived a market opportunity in the future similar to what we're seeing now. So now when the market has taken off and is quite hot, it's difficult to get mining equipment right now. And we're fortunate to have made that investment in the past, and now we are deploying hash rate. We are growing mining power at a time when there's real opportunity for Bitcoin mining.
I've only seen your earnings that you posted November in 2020, so it was the first 3 months of last year, Jason. But can you walk us through how we should think about what your power is now? You had said in that report that you produced 730 Bitcoin in the first 9 months of the year. How should we think about it in terms of, the halving happened, so the reward rate went down to 6.25 Bitcoins per block. There are stats out there saying that, 1 Bitcoin is mined every 10 minutes. Walk us through what that power is that you invested in and where that power is right now as we are seeing Bitcoin approach and cross over 50K.
Sure. So Riot's hash rate did grow pretty significantly during 2020, but the bulk of those deliveries not only did not come until the end of the year, but really a lot of what we invested was for in 2021 right now. So starting here in 2021, we shared last week, we received our latest shipment of miners, and our hash rate has reached a little over, it's reaching 1 exahash per second. To put that in context, the global Bitcoin mining hash rate right now is approximately 150 exahash. It varies quite a bit. So we expect that alongside this increased interest in Bitcoin, the increased margins for miners, there's going to be a lot more competition heating up in the space. There's going to be a lot more hash rate getting deployed. But we are scheduled to grow our hash rate alongside that. And what we're really competing for as a miner, as I touched on a little bit before, your hash rate as a ratio to kind of the global Bitcoin mining hash rate is somewhat around what your expectation can be for what your mining rewards are going to be. As you stated, every 10 minutes, approximately, a new Bitcoin block is found. And for finding that block, there's a 6.25 Bitcoin reward plus any transaction fees that were included in that block. Now, Riot participates in a mining pool like most all miners do, so a collaborative effort to find those blocks. So as a miner, simply put, as a miner is increasing their hash rate relative to the global hash rate, you are increasing your odds of getting a piece of that pie. We are approaching deploying 1 exahash right now, and with the miners we have on order, we're scheduled to hit 3.8 exahash by the end of 2021. We are scheduled to grow our hash rate alongside that, and what we're really competing for as a miner, as I touched on a little bit before, your hash rate as a ratio to kind of the global Bitcoin mining hash rate is somewhat around what your expectation can be for what your mining rewards are going to be. As you stated, every 10 minutes, approximately, a new Bitcoin block is found. And for finding that block, there's a 6.25 Bitcoin reward plus any transaction fees that were included in that block. Now, Riot participates in a mining pool like most all miners do, so a collaborative effort to find those blocks. So as a miner, simply put, as a miner is increasing their hash rate relative to the global hash rate, you are increasing your odds of getting a piece of that pie. We are approaching deploying 1 exahash right now, and with the miners we have on order, we're scheduled to hit 3.8 exahash by the end of 2021.
Hey, Jason, it's BK. So I'm curious. I was on a call with an investor today, and they asked me about mining, and my answer was, I haven't invested in mining because there's this picks and shovels fallacy where everybody takes the gold miner kind of paradigm and says, well, during the gold rushes, you should have bought picks and shovels because that made more money than actually buying gold. But the fallacy there is gold was pegged at a single price to the US dollar for the entire gold rush. That's very different here in the Bitcoin market. Bitcoin's not pegged. Its upside is uncapped. And so why is a miner a better investment in this space than just buying Bitcoin? Because it seems to me you've got massive sunk costs. You're always having to update your equipment. You better be right on those cycles of the mining cycles, not just on the price of Bitcoin. So why should somebody buy Riot blockchain and invest in mining versus just buying a Bitcoin? Seems like the same bet to me with less cost.
Well, so Bitcoin mining, when you break it down, is essentially the number one variable cost for Bitcoin miners energy. Of course, you have your capital expense up front, and then going forward, you have that significant energy cost going forward. So Bitcoin miners are taking that energy and they're converting that into proof of work, and when successful, they get a Bitcoin as a reward. So if you are strategic at mining, if you are able to have very competitive costs, better than your competitors, what you're essentially going to be doing is buying Bitcoin at a discount to market going forward. And now the key point there is obviously you need to have pretty significantly low costs. You have to remain competitive to that space. The price will fluctuate. You're absolutely right. That is a big risk to miners. And the competition around mining fluctuates as well. So if you are strategic, if you are building infrastructure, making plans that are going to last a long time, as a miner, you have an opportunity to be accumulating Bitcoin over a long period of time. And as the price goes up and down, when your costs are low enough, you have the you are afforded the ability to hold on to a lot of the Bitcoin that you mine,
right.
and you can hold on to that for brighter pastures in the future.
Jason, I have to ask you this question because CNBC spent a lot of time investigating your company a couple of years back. That was when your former CEO, your former largest shareholder, were both charged by the SEC with allegations of basically pump and dump, unrelated to Riot blockchain, but they were integral parts of your company back in 2018 when you converted from Bioptics, a biotech company, into Riot blockchain. At this point, is that completely behind you? Do they have any role in the company? Are you in contact with them whatsoever? Because you were, I believe, a board member at that time.
I was a board member. I joined the board of Riot Blockchain in late 2017, bringing my expertise in Bitcoin and the industry to the space. Since that time period, the company has gone through a very significant transformation. We have added an almost entirely new board. We've revamped the management team. We are not connected to those prior individuals or entities anymore. We have put our head down and strategic focus into specifically Bitcoin mining and growing our hash rate, growing our operational capacity, and beyond that, supporting the growth of Bitcoin mining in North America.
Okay. Jason, pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Melissa.
Jason Les, the CEO of Riot Blockchain. Real quick, Pomp, real quick. Bitcoin or a miner? Would you rather?
I think it's two different investments. You really got to ask yourself, what are you trying to accomplish? It's very obvious that Bitcoin-related stocks have done well. You know, they're obviously up, I think, 100% in the last week or so. You got Marathon, it's up about 70%. MicroStrategy up 28% or so in the last week. Bitcoin is not. But I think over a long period of time, I personally prefer Bitcoin and just continue to hold Bitcoin.